myself, T Dot, and I'm joined by fellow co-host. So do you want to just introduce yourself?
Hey guys, it's Theo here, known on Twitter as Sesky Time. Bit of a a disappointing podcast today, but I think there's a lot of interesting discussion to follow as we've got a Leicester fan who's going to introduce himself now as well.
Hi guys, Jack here from Leicester Fan TV. Hope everyone's well and enjoyed the game on Saturday. Very great game. First time FA Cup champions Leicester. So yeah, we made history on Saturday. Now it's just time to focus on the next game in hand, which is Stamford Bridge on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's going to be an important game which we can discuss later. But what I wanted to do, and I'll come to Theo first. Obviously, give your thoughts about. Well, first of all, you went to the game, which was something we haven't said in a while. So just talk us through what it was like, the experience of going to the game, obviously being there, and what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, before I kind of talk about the experience, I just wanted to congratulate Leicester. I think it's the fair thing to do. First FA Cup since the 60s, I think. And if we are going to lose to a team in a cup final, let it be Leicester rather than a Spurs and Arsenal and
Yeah,
Man U,
I agree. I agree.
honestly. So a fair play to Leicester and congratulations. Match day experience was amazing. I mean, bar the results, just to be back in a full, I mean, not a full stadium, but just be back in a stadium around fans, match day atmosphere, the build up, walking to Wembley, taking the tube, absolutely buzzing, and just kind of made the day out of it. Met my friend, before the getting into the stadium. Just missed the chance, the football banter, and it was good. As well. Well organized as well. I think even the type of thing they could have even let more fans into the grounds with the way it was in the upper tiers of the stadium. But each team had their side of the stadium. Fans were respectful of social distancing, but in between the seats at least they did wear their masks. So I think it's looking good for the start of next season. I think having fans back into the grounds, and obviously the next round of Premier League fixtures will have fans, which is really good from a football fan perspective.
Yeah, definitely. And Jack, did you was you able to go yourself, or did you?
Yes, I travelled down to Wembley on
Yeah,
Saturday to watch the boys. You couldn't miss it for the world, could you?
no, not at all.
Leicester's first FA Cup final since 1969. The last time we went to the old Wembley, where we played Manchester City and lost 1-0. But previous to the FA Cup final on Saturday, we'd lost 4 times. So we had 4 bridesmaids on 4 weddings and never got the bride down the aisle on Saturday. Thankfully, we actually got the bride down the aisle for the first time on the fifth occasion. So, yeah, we're all joyous. The crowd were amazing. It was just good to be back on an away game. Away games bring so much experience, so much entertainment. The atmosphere is fantastic. And I think both sets of teams, respectively, played a good game. Second half, I thought was better than the first half. I thought the first half was about getting a feel of how each other's going to play in the final. And then second half, quite a lot of entertainment. A VAR decision, a Yuri Tillemans banger into the top corner, and a Leicester City win for the first time in the FA Cup. So, yeah, we took the trophy home on Saturday, so it was just fantastic to do that. And I cried like a baby at half-time, which I'm not embarrassed to say. So, to
Yeah,
see my team win the FA Cup for the first time, it's massive. And, yeah, I enjoyed all the day. We did quite a lot of content on Leicester Fan TV at Wembley that day, before the game, after the game, during the game, so we thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was a great day's work for us.
yeah. And I think it was obvious to see as well what it meant to Leicester as a club, the owner, you know, everything that the club have been through as well over the last couple of years. So it meant a lot, and you could see that it meant a lot to Brendan Rodgers as well, which you don't really see that unity from a club from the top to the bottom. The owner coming on to lift the trophy. I think it was Kasper Schmeichel was sort of bringing him towards it. So it was good to see that because we talk about even an Arsenal or Spurs, you don't really see that kind of connection with that, the unity there from the club.
Yeah. Fantastic ownership we've got. They've been here 11 years now, so it's been quite a long time. Vishai had a dream to build a football team. He said we'd be a top 6 side in years to come. And what a way to mark his words. 13 years ago, was in the third division of English football. travelling to like teams like Yeovil, Hartlepool, teams like that. 13 years on, since then, we've won the Premier League, the FA Cup. We've been in the Champions League, the Europa League. You know what I mean? We've had that experience, and who would have thought that had happened in that short amount of time?
Yeah, no, I agree. Leicester have done really well. Theo, I want to get your thoughts as well, and obviously my own, but what do you think went wrong for Chelsea? What was your initial thoughts, especially for the lineup that we put out as Chelsea? What were your initial thoughts on that?
I thought the lineup was spot on, if I'm honest. It's kind of what we expected as Chelsea fans. Werner, Kante, and Rudiger were all rested for the Arsenal game, so it made sense for them to be reintroduced into the squad. I wasn't really too shocked when I saw the starting 11. I think I agree with Jack. First half was a bit like, trying to see how both teams were playing, and it was quite boring to watch, if I'm honest. It was a bit disappointing. I think Werner's decision-making at time was a bit poor. I had the perfect view in the second half of where we were trying to score in the Schmeichel's goal, and you could always see him offside. So his decision-making was quite poor in terms of Werner. But at the same time, credit to Fofana. He kept him out of the game quite well, and he was really solid at the back. I think where the game really was won for Leicester was in the midfield. I think Tielemans was, credit to him, he was great. And Jorginho and Kante, amazing midfielders, but you're not getting that attacking drive from someone like Kovacic that they can offer. So it's quite, conservative in midfield, and more often than not, we just pass it back to Thiago Silva, or even back to Kepa at times to just, try to keep possession and build from the back. But, I said it in another podcast in one of the previous episodes, when we have conceded under Tuchel, it's either been a defensive mistake, like we saw against Arsenal on Wednesday, and also against Man City a previous weekend when Christensen made a defensive mistake, or it's a wonder goal. And we saw it with the Porto bicycle kick in the Champions League, and we saw it at Wembley on Saturday with the Tielemans screamer. So it's almost, just what can you do in a situation like that? So, but as I said, lineup, was right. I would have maybe introduced Giroud and Pulisic a bit earlier, possibly in the second half, when things weren't quite going our way, possibly straight after we conceded. But otherwise, just kind of like, why couldn't we just play like that last 20 minutes, from in the first half and from there off? Even that big Aspi chance, I think, really came to bite us,
Yeah,
definitely. We kind of just missed that header, in the first half. So it's kind of similar season, it's been the same all season, kind of like wasted chances and not clinical enough in front of goal. And then it just comes to haunt us at full time.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I similar to you, I agreed with the lineup that we had on Saturday, but then going back and sort of reflecting, if you want to win a cup, you've got to put Mendy in goal. And I know we can all say that now. I just think Mendy being in goal, we know he's the better goalkeeper. We've seen Kepa from long range shots be beaten as well. In hindsight, I probably would have played Mendy.
Are you saying he would have stopped the Tielemans goal, Mendy? Do you think?
I'm not saying I don't think he would have stopped it. I'm not saying anyone could stop that. I think it was a brilliant strike. You could have had two goalkeepers in there. I don't think so, and I'm not blaming him at all in terms of Kepa. I don't know. There was just for me. I don't know. I would have just started Mendy. I would have started Chilwell. I definitely would have started Chilwell because when he came on, from what I could see, his attacking. He's better going forward, I think, than Alonso in some aspects as well. And maybe Tammy as well. I would have at least had him on the bench. I think he scored 4 goals in the competition, albeit against, lower oppositions. But I do think he would have been a good option to have. I agree with you. I think Giroud coming on the 82nd minute, he still had Werner on. We could see Werner was struggling. He's brilliant for pace. We know that already about him. We know that he can stretch, defense, and he can run behind defenders. But he was a bit too late, too little, too late, and it was panic stations at the end for me. Rudiger was, I think, even before the 60th minute, was taking shots outside the box, and it just seemed a bit messy and complicated from Tuchel, and it didn't need to be. But one thing I will comment Tuchel on is the fact that he noticed obviously that he needed to swap Azpilicueta and Reece James over, and that was probably down to Vardy's pace and the fact that he was, Azpilicueta would just have struggled to keep up with him, and I thought Reece James done really well to play right centre back. So I do want to talk about the handball and get both your views because I've spoke about it since Saturday on various different podcasts and just wanted to get your views. So if I come to you first, Jack, what did you think about the handball?
I didn't really know it was a handball because, like, where you sit at Wembley, it's so far away from the pitch, you can't really see it. It's just like, and I seen it hit him, but I just didn't know where. But it's like, but when I look back at it after the game, I thought, you know what, it hit his knee and then it bounced up. So it's like there's nothing he could have actually done with it. Do you know what I mean? I could understand if it was deliberate and he'd actually like pushed it up towards his hand on purpose, but he didn't. It's the way the ball come at him. I think it was Kante, was it, who cleared it, or was it Rudiger?
James
I
or
think it
Kante,
might be.
maybe?
Was it James?
Yeah.
So I think Perez bodied it, didn't he, quite well. I don't think it was an intentional handball to be given like that, VAR decision-wise. But, I just think Chelsea was sloppy with the ball, clearing it. And then, obviously, they made that mistake, didn't they? They gave Tielemans too much space.
Yeah.
And then whipped it round Thiago Silva and then into the back of the net, top corner. And, fully deserved goal. Because I thought we worked hard second half. We found how Chelsea's weaknesses was, the way they played first half, and we just exposed them quite a bit. Obviously, Thiago's not the quickest of defenders, is he? Rudiger can make the odd mistakes. Reece James, I could say he's the same as Chilwell. He's got so much pace going forward. He can a lot to burn. But when it comes to the defensive side of it, he's a bit shaky about it. But I don't think it was handball, really, because it wasn't intentional. I don't think VAR looked at it because it wasn't, like, deliberate. So I don't know what you guys thought of it, but that's my point of view.
Yeah. And Theo, do you agree or do you disagree with what Jack's saying?
I'll agree with when I was at Wembley, I didn't even notice it was a handball. And, I don't think any Chelsea fan around me noticed it was a handball. It was, after full time when you open up Twitter and you see that image of Ayoze Perez with the ball, touching his arm. But it's a bit of a tricky one because I do agree it wasn't deliberate. It wasn't an intentional handball. It's just a bit confusing now with what is considered as a handball, what's not considered as a handball, what's considered as a handball, to prompt a VAR check. The one thing that kind of frustrated me was knowing that had that not touched his hand, they would have sent the ball in another direction, meaning, it could have maybe not led to Tielemans scoring. That's when you start to realize possibly it could have changed the whole kind of, way the game planned out. But then I did read into the rules a bit more, and it said if the ball touches your arm after another part of your body, then it's not worthy of a VAR check, and the goal can stand. But then in the past, I've seen so many goals that have had exactly that same kind of contact with Tielemans, with Ayoze Perez's part of the hand, and the goals have been ruled out. I don't know if the rules have changed, mid-season or something like that. But most recently, the one I saw on Twitter that really stood out to me was Tammy Abraham's handball against Ajax in the 4-4 draw against them in the Champions League last season. It touched Abraham's hand. I think Azpilicueta put it in the net at the end, and they ruled it out. But yeah, just a bit more clarification around the rules around handball would be great. And also, I think for fans like myself and Jack who are at Wembley, just to, have that on not big screen because it might cause controversy, but just a bit more understanding. Even the VAR check, we didn't even know a VAR check was happening, I feel. But the ref didn't really kind of make it clear, and then he just instantly decided to rule out the Chilwell goal. But it's just I kind of forgot about that feeling of being in a stadium, having all that controversy, decisions, VAR checks, and how it all kind of plans out. But it's I think 60% handball, 40% not a handball, and goal should stand. So I guess it's just a luck really of the referee and the decision.
Yeah, and I agree with both of what you both said to an extent. They've definitely been given in the past. I think we've seen it where they've pulled it back and they've said it's handball, and that's probably happened to us, like you mentioned with Abraham. And I'm sure if it was the other way around and it was Chelsea go on to score and it's Leicester, I'm sure you'd feel probably the same to some extent, Jack, as well. So I do think clarity is needed, not even more so just at the stadiums, but just for everyone. So many grey areas. I feel now with VAR introduced as well. What's offside, what isn't offside, can he be offside with his arm that he can't score with, or there's so many. So seeing as we're talking about VAR, let's talk about the offside that may or may not have been offside. For me personally, I'm going to be honest and say if he can't score with his arm or he can't score with his shoulder or whatever they deemed offside, it isn't really. Should it really be offside? I don't know. So Theo, if I come back to you, to get your views first on what you think.
I mean, again, with the way VAR's worked this season and the goals that VAR's ruled offside, I guess it is offside because we've seen literally toenails, we've seen armpit hair even offsides. So, that's part of the shoulder in that still image that I saw. I guess it is worthy of an offside. But the one thing that kind of frustrated me to a certain extent is the still image they used to rule it offside. It looked like the ball had already departed Thiago Silva's foot. The exact, frame per second they used. So that's when you start thinking, had they just been like a 0.01 second earlier, maybe Chilwell's shoulder would have been onside with, I think it was Wes Morgan or Fofana. So it's a very tricky one. And I do agree with you as well. Can you score with that part of the body? If, you can carry on playing a goal, like Ayoze Perez did with his arm, I think surely like that part of your body kind of, should be allowed to be kept onside, or it's a tricky one. I'm very
what advantage is that shoulder doing being on? It's not doing anything for the game. It's just, for me personally, it's ruining football, if I'm honest, but that's my opinion, not because of Saturday, but overall as well.
Yeah. And as well, just the moment we had in the Chelsea end when that went in, to have that kind of taken away from us.
It's gone viral.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking. Like I was in the stands when Giroud and Chilwell came knee sliding in front, and I got the phone out to take the video and just had to straight away delete it. But yeah, it's moments like that he's taken away from us. It is a bit heartbreaking. And when you're on TV, at least you celebrate, and then straight away you see like the ref go like this, put his fingers against his ear. Whereas in the stadium you don't have that. So. Yeah. I do agree with you. It's kind of ruining football, and I feel there should be more clarification of even how they draw the lines. I feel it's very the quality of the screen is not great as well, and the pixels, you could be a pixel offside now. So I think it needs a big reviewing this summer, VAR. But I'd love to know what you think, Jack, from a Leicester fan perspective.
Do you know what? Yeah, the way Chilwell acted with us before he left, yeah. I was glad he was gone for £50 million because we would have snapped your hand off for that. Sitting there laughing at us, getting knocked out by you guys at the King Power 1-0 with Ross Barkley and that. It didn't go down well with Leicester fans. Leicester fans didn't really rate Chilwell as a player before he left. They said he were an attacking player going forward. He was fine coming forward. When it comes to his defensive and end product, he's not really got that. I don't know what you guys think of Chilwell, but the VAR decision, I don't know, like, it's the slightest of margins, isn't it? When they whip them lines out and it's just like, what's actually happening? And VAR never even came on the screen, did it, until it said that Ben Chilwell had scored. And I didn't realise it were offside because I rang the father and I said, what's happening? He said, oh, it's offside. I said, is it? And Wembley didn't even get it till like a minute later. And I was like, what's going on here? Is it given? Is it not? And then you just see Michael Oliver go like that, and it's like mad. And Chilwell's antics, he like slid right in front. I was like, mate, he celebrated against Leicester, proper disrespecting us and everything. I was like, mate. And we actually had the last laugh on him. So, it was like a goal. The VAR decision game ruled out. It was like a second goal for Leicester, but we celebrated more for the VAR than what we did for the actual Tielemans goal.
That's what I noticed in the Chelsea end. Like the roar of the Leicester fans felt like they'd made it 2-0 rather than disallowed Chelsea goal. So
it's just
felt like a goal for you guys.
I think Soyuncu went to clear it on the line, and then Wes got in the way, and then it hit Wes and come back, and then it went in. I was like, oh my days! I thought it was Giroud who scored it first. They caught Ben Chilwell. I thought, he's joking, ain't you? But it didn't end well for Chilwell in the end. He weren't laughing when it got ruled out.
I think it's important as well because to outline the pass from Thiago Silva, which was a brilliant. I mean, it took out the defence, didn't it? Really, and I think if he'd released the ball even half a second earlier, that would have stood, because I think the way that Chilwell timed his run was was to perfection. It was just that Silva held onto the ball just that bit, just a half a second too long. I don't know why he did that, but he did. But it was, I mean, it was a brilliant pass. You know, I think it was a shame that the goal didn't stand. But I wanted to touch on Kasper Schmeichel because I think he was outstanding. I really, no, I do. I think he was brilliant. You know, he done well. We have to credit him because he doesn't get the credit in terms of a goalkeeper. You know, everyone talks about Edison and Alisson, and I'm not saying he's at that level, but he's definitely a goalkeeper that has been consistent for Leicester. He proved it on Saturday. I mean, how he kept that Mason Mount one, you know, out the goal. I mean, that was, I mean, I did actually think that was it. That was going to be it. That's going to go in. And obviously, when you get the Chilwell, I think had that Chilwell goal gone in, I think we would have gone on to win. And that's just, I think Leicester were looking on the back foot at that point anyway. Brendan had brought on his subs to just take off the tired legs, and he just put on big Wes to make sure you defend everything, get your head on everything, get everything out of the box. And Leicester were on the back foot then. So I think if it had gone into extra time, I think the way we were playing, you know, Hudson-Odoi coming on, Giroud, we probably would have potentially gone on to hopefully have won that, but we never know now.
Yeah, I think had the Chilwell goal stood and it would have been 1-1 extra time, I can only see Chelsea winning it with the substitutions we made. Pulisic look really, really sharp as well. Havertz, I think, you know, coming on, even Hudson-Odoi, very an attacking formation. Hudson-Odoi as right wing back. I could only see us maybe snatching another goal, you know, early on in extra time. But yeah, gotta credit Kasper Schmeichel. I mean, again, the way I was, my seats at Wembley, they were, you know, almost perfectly aligned with the goal, and it was just, you're just waiting for the net to bulge as soon as that shot left Mount's boots. And even I think there was a Chilwell header at one point, which he did really well to stretch. And, you know, it almost bounced back after, so you just thought maybe he'd still get a touch on it, but we'll go in after. But he managed to keep it out. So I think you've got to kind of, you know, credit Schmeichel and compare him to the likes of Alisson nowadays. Alisson, Edison, even Mendy, who's got a lot of praise this season. And I think Schmeichel's one of those keepers. He's got that experience. He's got a Premier League title to his name, an FA Cup to his name now. And when we were struggling to find a goalkeeper last summer, I think his name came about a few times, Kasper Schmeichel, linked to Chelsea. And as a Chelsea fan, you've got to be like, I'll take that. I'll take that. You know, he's a great goalkeeper. His father's a goalkeeping legend as well. And he arguably won them the FA Cup on Saturday with those saves. So credit to him.
Yeah, I agree. Let's turn our attention to tomorrow, because that's probably just as important as Saturday for both clubs. So Jack, I'll come to you. What are your thoughts after Saturday? Are Leicester going to be on that much of a high that they will switch off in some ways and Chelsea will get the win?
I think it'll go on confidence of both teams. Leicester will obviously want to play well again and actually turn up and get top four, because if we win on Tuesday, it's top four for Leicester. Champions League football guaranteed. Maybe we could have wrapped it up before, beating teams like Newcastle and Southampton, but with Leicester, we like to do it the hard way. But it's going to be a difficult game. Have Chelsea's heads dropped with the younger players that they've got, considering they've lost to Arsenal and Leicester now and some massive games? As a Chelsea fan looking at it Tuchel's got to pick them up, hasn't he, now? And he's got to get them ready for Tuesday. I think Brendan Rodgers will do the same. He'll let them have Saturday night to celebrate, and then he said he got them in on Sunday morning. So he's preparing them for the game. I think Leicester will probably make about 2 changes on Tuesday. I can't see any more than that. We need our strongest team in the big games. So we'll be looking to win the game, but maybe I'll take a draw, depending on how we play. But if the confidence is high at the minute, and I think the boys will want to carry on that good run and keep the confidence flowing.
Yeah, and you say the 2 changes. Do you reckon you could name roughly who those 2 changes might be in terms of what Brendan would look to do to try and win the game?
I think Johnny Evans is not going to start. He's injured, so obviously he came out in the first half, didn't he? He came off. So Mark Albrighton will probably come in, or maybe Pereira. And maybe Maddison will come in for Perez. So it'd be them sort of players. Apart from that, I can't see any more changes. But we don't know what Brendan Rodgers' thinking is going into the game or how he approaches it.
It's true. It's true. And I think from a Chelsea's perspective, and Theo, I know I mentioned it to you earlier that, we haven't had the best of records against Leicester at the Bridge. But one positive that we have got is there's going to be fans finally back at Stamford Bridge tomorrow, which is what, we've been waiting for, which is going to be good for a Chelsea perspective. I mean, for me, I think Tuchel will definitely get the boys back and get their heads up. I think he probably would have had to have done that against Arsenal, and obviously we did lose on Saturday, but I still think we put in a good shift on Saturday, and we can still be proud of how we played. I don't think we played poor. I mean, we had, I think, 13 shots and 3 on target. We had quite a bit of the possession as well, and I know that doesn't count for nothing now because you don't come home with anything, but I thought we played well in spells, and I think Tuchel is the type of manager that can, he can get players, playing back to how they need to be. The lucky thing for us as well is that the games come round so quickly. If it had been, I don't know, Thursday or Saturday, then you've kind of got a bit of doubt that kind of creeps into your mind, and these players are going to want to get this out of their system straight away. And I think this is the perfect time to get the game played. But Theo, what do you think about the team selection? What do you reckon Tuchel may or may not change for Tuesday?
I mean, firstly, we spoke on offline about, this is almost uncharted territory for Tuchel at Chelsea, losing 2 games on the bounce. So it's going to be really, really important how we can bounce back from this mentally. And what I loved after the defeat, I mean, I didn't love it, but what I liked to see after the defeat was players like Reece James and Mason Mount, who are youngsters at the end of the day, and they looked the most distraught out of all of the Chelsea players. And that says a lot about, their personality and how they can, they have that, confidence and want and drive to bounce back. So definitely, put in a Reece James, put in Mason Mount, which I think are, starting players in the team sheet either way. But I'd love to see Pulisic back in the team, the type of player that should have started, I think, even possibly on Saturday. Every game he plays now, the way he just dribbles past players and, just making it look easy or draws a foul from a player. I say on every podcast, but it just reminds me of Hazard a lot. Yeah, it does. So I think Pulisic should start tomorrow, and I think he will, if I'm honest. I don't see why he wouldn't after being rested for large majority of the FA Cup final. I think Chilwell will come back in, maybe get another goal, a legitimate goal this time. And I will say something about Chilwell. I think had he not scored or thought he scored in the 90th minute, I don't think he would have celebrated like that.
He would have been a lot more respectful. I think I think he'd done that because, I mean, if I scored against the club that I'd played for and it was the goal that's going to get me into the extra time, I would have jumped into the crowd, I think, and gone crazy. So I don't begrudge him of that. But
maybe now that he's seen how Leicester fans have treated him,
they booed him even when he came on.
Yeah, they did. I noticed that. Yeah.
But yeah, I think Chilwell will start at left wing back. I think Reece James actually possibly if Vardy starts and he wants to deal with the pace of Vardy, you'd maybe have a James as one of the 3 centre backs. Maybe Christensen's fit again. I'm not sure. I didn't listen to the Tuchel's press conference today about whether Christensen and Kovacic are fit or match fit at least.
I think Kovacic is definitely match fit, but I'd like to say that we can keep him on the bench. I think I wouldn't want to rush him back. Obviously, we've still got the Champions League final to play for. That's a big game, a massive game, and we have to be underdogs in that. So I'd like to keep Christensen and Kovacic wrapped up in cotton wool for as long as possible for that. But I mean, it's going to be tough. I don't even think I'll take a point out of that game. I really don't think any Leicester or Chelsea can afford to take a point. I think it's a game that really, the way Liverpool are playing, I think they play Burnley tomorrow as well. I think they've got Burnley at Turf Moor tomorrow. So, if they win that, the pressure's on not just Chelsea, but Leicester as well. So it's tough. It's tough. It's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, I agree. I was asked on Friday, so the day before the FA Cup final, if I could only choose to win one of the 2 games, FA Cup final or the Leicester at home the following week on Tuesday. I said Leicester at home on Tuesday, simply because I just think, the quality of players we're looking to attract maybe in the summer. Champions League is so important. And, it's not guaranteed with the Champions League final if we're going to win that game or not yet to qualify for next season's competition. So as much as gutting as it was to lose the FA Cup, if we're able to win tomorrow, and rest those players that can make a difference. Having rested those players that can make a difference on Tuesday, then let it be. But in a dream situation, it'd be just beautiful to have Leicester and Chelsea in the Champions League and Liverpool finish fifth.
I'll tell you something.
That's a dream.
When that Alisson goal went in yesterday, my heart skipped a beat. Honestly, it did. I was made up for him because you could tell again it meant so much to him after everything he's been through with his dad. But I couldn't believe what I was watching. It just summed up the weekends that we were having. The Chelsea Women's Champions League was just, I can't even believe how that went. So it was just a weekend of what else can go wrong, and the Champions League for the women was just the icing on the cake. But it's going to be a tough game for Leicester, tough game for Chelsea. I'm sure, like you say, there'll be a few changes for Leicester and for Chelsea, just to keep the players fresh as well. But I'm with you, Theo. I live in Liverpool, so I can only tell you how nice it would be to be able to walk down the street and see Liverpool in the Europa League next season. It would be impressive.
Yeah, but just one thing I wanted to add for the West Brom Liverpool game, I was busy watching it, but managed to switch on the moment Liverpool scored, except that all the players were huddled up, celebrating.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, they scored a winner. I was quite annoyed, and then I just saw the players, disperse, and Alisson in the middle, and I thought, surely not. Surely Alisson hasn't scored. But as we spoke about, with everything that's happened to him this season, I think it's quite emotional and quite a special moment for him. But yeah, hopefully Burnley can do us a favour tomorrow. I think he may be frozen.
It looks it.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe we can briefly talk about our score predictions for tomorrow's game.
It's gonna be a tricky game. I'm not expecting no different from Chelsea going to the Bridge, but Leicester have got on a good away record, haven't they, this season? I think we're so just mad to think.
You back?
I'm back. Apologies. I'm not sure what just happened. It just sort of froze. You was halfway through a sentence and I thought it was your end. So apologies.
No worries. We're just talking about our score predictions for tomorrow.
And what have we gone for?
But Jack was about to give his.
I'm going to go for a 2-1 Leicester win. I think Kelechi will get one this time round because he missed out in the FA Cup on Saturday. I'm going to go for Tielemans again. If you give him that space, we'll see who the better goalkeeper is for Chelsea, won't we, on Tuesday night? So if Tielemans gets one in the top corner, then there'll be no excuses from Chelsea because both goalkeepers got beaten by him. So we'll see. But like you say, rules are rules at VAR, and you can't argue it. You've just got to go with it, haven't you? On another day, it'd probably been given as a goal, but the slightest of margins, it doesn't help for any club, does it? If it were in a Leicester point of view and it was Jamie Vardy scoring that goal, you know what I mean? You'd be in the same boat, wouldn't you, with like VAR and that? Because I'm not the biggest fan of VAR because, it's unpredictable, isn't it? You don't know what's going to be given or where and who. And do you know what I mean? These red cards have summed it up this season as well, especially the West Ham one, when he cleared that ball and then he caught Chilwell, but he didn't intend to catch Chilwell and he got sent off for it.
Yeah, it's not good enough. There's just not enough consistency.
No.
And I think I've watched Spanish football, Italian football, German football, and they all seem to have a better handling of how to use VAR. Even at the FA Cup final, Michael Oliver doesn't even go to check the screen. He's just, he's taking whatever's said to him in his ear as gospel. That's what we're going to go with. And I think as the ref, just go over, it doesn't take that long. Go and check the screen just to confirm, because it's an FA Cup final. It's a big game. Half the fans are going to be pissed off when they go home because of a VAR decision, and the other fans are going to be, made up. So it's just, it takes 10, 15 seconds. Go and check the screen. It doesn't take long. So it just, a bit more consistency. Overall, they need to do a massive review and just check that it's worthwhile in the Premier League, because it's costing teams points now. It's costing teams trophies. If we,
Agree.
so
Agree.
we've got to get it right, or just don't use it at all.
I mean, as a Chelsea fan, when I saw that West Ham red card at the London Stadium, I was disgusted. I thought, if this is a red card, then what, the game's almost gone mad. I mean, so I was quite disgusted, and I was happy in the end that the red card got rescinded. But yeah, I'd love to just see more Premier League referees go to the monitor screen and review these type of decisions. You see it so often in the Champions League. I mean, think of that Giroud bicycle kick against Atletico, that long kind of check we had, to review it. And in the end, they saw that it came off an Atletico player. And, it does take a bit away from the game because, there's a long pause. The referee looks at the screen and the replays, about 10 times in a row. But if it means, getting the correct decision and, actually the fans seeing that the referees looked at it after being told by other people in a small broadcasting room, have a look at this, then, you've got about 5 people that have given their approval. So I'd like to see that, next season in the Premier League, more referees going to the screens like you do in the Champions League and across Europe. But I agree it does need a big reviewing this summer. And predictions for tomorrow. I mean, if Jack mentions that Tielemans scores again, if I see him scoring at Stamford Bridge in that maroon kit as well, I'm going to have like some kind of nightmare of his face for the summer.
We'll be back here again tomorrow, so don't worry. I might report you again.
Fingers crossed it doesn't happen. But
Just don't get sent off.
Yeah. I think if we keep Iheanacho and Vardy out of the game like we did essentially at Wembley, then I can see us winning 2-1, and that's what I predicted on the app. And I think I'm feeling a Pulisic and a Rudiger goal.
Yeah,
let's do that. But we're not. Yeah, we haven't won against Leicester at Stamford Bridge since October 2016.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time coming. So fingers crossed we can get it done tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go for 2-0 as well. I think at 2-0, I think Pulisic might get 2. I think he's just gonna be on fire. I think we'll keep because it was weird because I mean I love Iheanacho as a striker. I think he's a brilliant. I think City was stupid to get rid of him, to be honest. But we kept him quiet. I don't know if it was just nerves. It was a big occasion for him. I'm not sure, but if we can keep him quiet on Tuesday, and we know what Vardy can do, so he only needs one chance, and if he gets it, he takes it. So we've got to keep him quiet. And I think Tuchel will do similar to Saturday. He'll put James at right centre back. Maybe, I don't know, might even start Hudson-Odoi on the wing, the right wing, because it was effective when he came on. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm going to go 2-0. I think 2-0 for me, but someone's going to be happy tomorrow and someone's going to be sad tomorrow, so let's hope it's a result for Chelsea, because we do need picking up after Saturday, Jack.
If we win, we'll have to get Jack back on. We'll have to get Jack back on if we win, please.
You've got your trophy. Just you can get off now. And
we're guaranteed Europa League now. So if we get top 4, what does that mean for the Europa League? Is it 8th place?
Yeah,
it's the Europa League conference thing, isn't it? So it'll be at the likes of like West Ham, Everton, whoever's down there, maybe Tottenham.
Yeah, Spurs are still in the mix, I think. So it'll be interesting.
And we're all Burnley fans tomorrow as well, I think.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's Burnley Wednesday or tomorrow?
I'm not sure. I think it would make more sense it being Wednesday because Liverpool only played on Sunday, didn't they?
I think it's Wednesday.
Yeah, so I may have got that wrong earlier.
Burnley are quite good at Turf Moor, aren't they?
Well, I tell you what, it's a tough ground to go to, and that's no disrespect to Liverpool. I mean, they've not had the best of seasons. One thing they have got in their favour is they've been brilliant away. I think their home record's been poor this season. So, but it's I mean, everyone says, I think they lost 4-0, didn't they, to Leeds?
They did.
Yeah, so it doesn't mean anything, and they've got fans back, they've got fans back at Turf Moor. It's going to be an interesting game for Liverpool. So I'm looking forward to that one. We just need to get our part done first on Tuesday. But I did want to mention, because obviously I don't know if you guys have heard the breaking news that was on before we came on around Harry Kane. And I'll start with why I'm talking about Harry Kane, but Tammy Abraham looks like he's on his way out of Chelsea. Vardy's how old now? 32? 34. So might get another season out of Jamie Vardy. He might be coming off the bench. Tammy Abraham to Leicester next season. Can you see that, Jack?
Do you know what? We're apparently getting the over the line for Edward from Celtic for £18 million tonight. I hear. So Tammy Abraham for me, he's very young. He's got a lot to learn still, but he's a very good striker. When he is on his day, Leicester need that striker who's tall and can run. You get what I mean? And Tammy Abraham offers the hold up play, the flicking it on like. I don't know if you guys remember like Steve Howard for Leicester or Leonardo Rougeau or them sorts of players. Do you know what I mean? The big lanky players who's going to flick it on behind. And I think that's what will help Kell and Vardy next season with them sorts of players playing in them roles. Tammy Abraham be a great signing for Leicester. The Harry Kane news, I'm not surprised because Harry Kane is so good. He's English as well, so he's very good. He wants to win trophies, and I don't think Spurs are the team for him. Son as well. If Son wants to win trophies, he needs to follow Harry Kane out the door because he ain't going to win trophies at Tottenham. Staying there, and if you want to sit there and be happy and not win trophies, then that's up to them sort of players, isn't it?
No, I agree. And I think he said it, didn't he? 2017. He done an interview with Thierry Henry, I think, and he said then if he hasn't won anything in 3 years, which I don't think they have they? They haven't won anything. So
they haven't won out since 2008, have they? When David Bentley played for them, and then the double in 1961.
That was it. So I mean, he's got. If he wants to go down as an Alan Shearer, who, to be fair, he won the Premier League, so we can't even compare him to him. But Theo, can you see Harry Kane potentially, if he was going to move from Spurs? You look at maybe a Man City, but do they want Haaland? Could you see him at Chelsea if we need someone who can put the ball in the back of the net? Is Harry Kane the answer?
I mean, if we get Harry Kane, I can see him scoring over 20 goals for us a season, 100%. I don't see. It's not like he's coming from abroad and needing to fit in or understand the Premier League and the style of play. He's coming from the other side of London. He's played in the Premier League now, almost every game for the last 5 or 6 seasons, and he's that striker we need definitely. But will he come to Chelsea with Daniel Levy at Spurs, and will Spurs sell him to us? Well, no, I don't think so. I don't see why they would let him go to Chelsea, and if they do, they probably ask for an extra 40 million. Then
the rest,
and the rest, And it's Real Madrid maybe would get him, a bit cheaper than a Premier League club would, like maybe same with a PSG or a Barcelona. But I know he wants to leave this summer, but I can't realistically see him going elsewhere at the moment, simply because the clubs don't have the budget. And the Premier League clubs who do have the budget, I don't think Spurs will let him go to them. Unless he does he refuses to train, which I don't think he's that type of person. But I think Abraham would be a great fit for Leicester, especially if they get Champions League. I think they need that depth. The front three of Iheanacho, Vardy, and possibly an Edouard, as you mentioned, or a Tammy Abraham. And I think he deserves to be playing. Let's face it, as Chelsea fans, we love Abraham. Is he good enough to be our starting 9? Maybe not, but he does deserve to be playing regular football and getting those consistent minutes as well at the highest level. So if it's Champions League, even better for him. But
I just don't think Tuchel's his fan, is he really? No, Abraham. No. I thought you guys were going to bring him on, but I think Giroud. Giroud's some. I hate him when he plays against Leicester because he scores quite a few goals. But I'd love him at Leicester, Giroud. Fantastic, holds up the ball, scores with his head. He does everything right. But I just don't think he's had the chances this season, has he? It's always been about Werner. When Werner's not played well, he still managed to get in the team because of the price tag, what you paid for him. Yeah. But you can't go on the price tag of a footballer. It's about how they perform. And if they're performing to the standards Chelsea want and expect them to. You've got to go with players in your team who's performing week in, week out, not players who's having off game after off game. And I think Havertz learnt that way, didn't he? Chelsea not playing him because he didn't play well. Obviously, what did you pay for him? £90 million, was it?
74.
74. Yeah. So it's a lot of money in it. But you've got, with Chelsea, the hierarchy of the club and the price tag that comes with it, it's a massive step in it, and you've got to expectation. Them levels. And Maguire at Man United as well, £80 million, captain of Man United. They've got to perform to them levels, and it's under can steam a lot of pressure. And you know what I mean. And they're a big club as well, Manchester United. And if you don't perform to them levels, the fans are going to be on your back, aren't they? And I think Chelsea have done that with Werner and Havertz this season as well. They've been very vocal about them when they've not performed well.
Yeah.
The one thing I did notice with Abraham, I put a tweet up, quite a sad picture. It was while the players were warming up before kickoff at Wembley. It was just Abraham, leaning on, the bench almost in his full tracksuit, obviously not in the match day squad, but he just looked quite sad, hands in his pockets. And even at full time, he was consoling all the players, and what Chelsea means to him. So it's quite sad to see that. And check out the picture after, Jack. But but it's just a bit like, as I mentioned, he should be playing regularly, and Tuchel's not his fan. And we saw what his girlfriend, I think, posted on Instagram about Tuchel. So yeah, and we love Giroud as Chelsea fans. We absolutely love Giroud, and it's almost like a type of player we know that if we keep hold of him, when we do play him, he'll perform and get goals. So another player that should be maybe playing more often, but he did get his chances this season, and when he has gotten his chance, he scored. But the last couple of months, Tuchel's obviously, as you mentioned, gone for Werner or Havertz.
What do you guys think to Kante? Let's talk Kante, a former Leicester player as well.
Just listen to our previous podcast. We rave on about it.
let's actually get your thoughts on Kante's a Chelsea perspective. He won the league with Leicester, absolutely superb that season. Shame he had a release clause because we wanted to keep him that badly. But you can understand why he left, but he left on good terms. He's won a lot since the Europa League, the World Cup. I think the Champions Leagues, he wants to win that as well, doesn't he? And he's won the Premier League the season after he left Leicester. What do you guys think to Kante as a footballer and overall since he's been at his time at Chelsea?
He's the Rolls Royce, isn't he? He's just a player that he just does everything you need him to do. He covers every blade of grass. He doesn't stop running. His injuries are very few and far between. And if he does get injured, he's not sidelined for months, and you don't really miss him. So I think obviously from a Chelsea perspective, he done the right thing by leaving Leicester at the time. I think he needed a change. Not to say that Leicester, he couldn't have stayed at Leicester, but I think he needed to change and to test himself somewhere else as well. And I think he's done really well. I can't think of many games where I thought, I'd take Kante off at half time, or I'll take him off after 60 minutes. He's been poor. And I like that he gets stuck in. He gets stuck in. He's not the biggest player on the pitch. He's probably not the strongest player on the pitch, but he just gets stuck in. And he picks up a few yellow cards on the way, but you take that for the type of player that he is and where he plays as well.
Yeah, he's a machine.
He works hard, doesn't he, Kante? PSG will come sniffing at some point because he's French, isn't he? And they like their French players, PSG. Kante never really has a bad game, does he? He's here, there and everywhere. And I think Saturday he played fantastically well. And at Leicester, we just won. As Leicester fans, we love to see him do well, and we're grateful to have him before. And it's been a privilege to watch him. And it's great to see him doing well. And we've got so much respect for Kante, and he's left on good terms with Leicester fans. So good luck to him.
Definitely, yeah. We love him. All we have to do is look at the
just look after him for us.
Europa League final in Baku. He was playing on one leg, I think, and just pocketed the whole Arsenal squad. We love him. We just absolutely love him.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think eventually, PSG, that's the only club, any other French clubs I can't really see him going to, but PSG would probably want him at some point. So that'd be a shame if we do lose him, because I think he's very irreplaceable. I don't think he reminds me, we struggled to replace Makelele at one point.
Makelele, that's what they were referring him to, wasn't they? When he was at Leicester, the Makelele of Chelsea. Yeah.
So we struggled to replace him. And we've got, I suppose, the second best thing in Kante. So if we lose Kante, it's a massive void in any club, Leicester, Chelsea, wherever he ends up and moves on. It's a massive void. So I hope we have him for a few more seasons. At least we can try and get him the Champions League beforehand. But it's just brilliant player. He's one of a kind, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. You don't realise he's that small, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? If you're a lanky player, you're going to see where the ball's being taken from.
It must be a nightmare to play against as well.
He works so hard. he likes to like really go backwards and run the ball forwards, and that's what you love to see from Kante. He's like a machine on the pitch. You love him when he's playing for your club, but hate playing against him. You know what I mean? And we've got Wilfred Ndidi, so every time it's like playing against Chelsea, it's the comparison between them two. And obviously, they could say Kante's won more than Ndidi because of the World Cup and stuff like that. But they're two great players, aren't they? Ndidi and Kante. They're probably they're the best centre defensive midfielders in the Premier League.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, the quality that they bring to the Premier League as well is great. But yeah, it'd be sad if we lose them. It'd be a massive void. I know we've got some young, some young players coming through our youth team, but they're nowhere near Kante level. And I don't think we'll ever see a Kante again in the Premier League, if I'm honest. One thing, Theo, I wanted to ask around the Harry Kane situation, if Tottenham said, because I think we not try and get Luka Modric a few years ago. I'm sure it was
2011 before he went to Madrid, I think.
That was it, yeah. So we've sniffed around with Spurs before, but we've never actually done anything with Spurs that I can really remember. And if Tottenham said £200 million, which I think the minimum he's going to be going for regardless is 150, I think. Yeah. I don't think he'll go anywhere for less than 150 mil. Because it's Chelsea, they'll whack on another 50 mil. Because it's Chelsea.
Rivals and all that.
Rivals, and just that's why we don't really like us as a club. Would you take him for 200 mil, or would you shop around and say, hold on, we could probably try and entice Lukaku to come back for less, or
200 million? I think we're getting. I think Tuchel has given a lot of money this summer from what I've read. I think about 130 or 150 million. And the position we desperately need to strengthen is a striker. So I'm going to say yes for 200 million. With the prices that players are going for nowadays.
Yeah, no, it's right.
Why not? But I'm a huge fan of Lukaku as well. And I feel like it is almost his destiny to come back to Chelsea at some stage. And Conte's almost gotten the best out of him. And he seems to be playing football with a smile on his face, which we weren't seeing so much at United. But yeah, Haaland, Lukaku, and Kane, it's almost like you're picking between a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, and a Maserati. You know, they're like
take your pick.
Amazing players. But if we get one of the three this summer, I think we'll be a powerhouse in the Premier League and in Europe next season.
And Jack, as just before we wrap up, let's just say you made top four.
Yeah.
I won't mention Chelsea at the moment. You made top four. Obviously, you've won the FA Cup. Going into next season, what do you think Leicester need to do to strengthen the squad, or is there anything that needs to happen for Leicester to sustain? Because I think we have to look at Leicester now as a top four club. You know, we have to look at them top six, top four club, because it's looking likely that you're sustaining that, momentum. So what needs to happen, if anything, at Leicester next season?
I think with Leicester, it's about keeping the squad together that we've got. Don't sell anybody this summer, because they're a great bunch of lads. We've got a great ownership. The manager's close with the owner. And the old team is a family. You know, you can see the way they are on the pitch. Look at them on Saturday after the game. The owner came down, and look how close the bond of the football club is. They're a family, not just on the pitch, but in the city of Leicester as well. And I think everyone neutrally likes to watch Leicester and see how they get on, especially after the title-winning season. But we're signing Boubakary Somer from Lille, and Lille are top of Ligue 1, aren't they, at the minute, going into the last game of the season. So we're getting him, their midfielder, for 24 million, 30 million euro. And we're also looking on signing Atalanta's left-back, is it Robin Gosens? So two fantastic players there, and obviously Ed Ward from Celtic. We're being linked with Ivan Toney from Brentford. So Leicester's linked with everybody, since we've progressed and going to the highest levels, we're being linked with everyone, Tom, Dick and Harry. So, we've just got to wait and see as fans and just see what business Brendan Rodgers has got in mind and see where we're going to go next.
Yeah, no, and I think it'd be interesting. I think that the next season's going to be a I mean, Chelsea will improve, I'm sure. Liverpool definitely will improve as well. Same with City, with Aguero leaving. And United need to improve as well. So it's going to be, I think, more challenging if we get the fans back in as well. I think it'll be more of a challenge for all the clubs. So, Theo, I'll throw it to you. We know what we need. If we get Champions League this season, what's the objectives for next season for Chelsea?
In terms of summer signings, or
let's say we get the ideal number 9, Harry Kane comes in. Are we pushing for the league next season?
100%, yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
I agree.
Yeah, I was going to keep it as a simple answer, yes.
Yeah, I think if we can extend Thiago Silva, which I think we haven't done that yet, we extend his contract for, another year. He can keep us, cover the cracks over at the back. We get the prolific number 9 that we need. Mendy, maybe offload some of the players that we don't need there as well. I think Danny Drinkwater's still on the books. I think I've mentioned that before. You can have him back, Jack, if you want. But
no, I'm all right. I've lost the receipt for him, so I don't want him back. He's in Turkey now, isn't he?
I think so, yeah.
He's not had the greatest of life at Chelsea for £35 million, so you guys can keep him.
Yeah. Well,
just chuck him in the bin if you want to get rid of him.
We've still got the receipt somewhere.
Don't send him back to us, please. Don't.
We'll get a refund on that one. But yeah, no, I agree, Theo. I think if we get the number 9, we've got to push for the league. We had a poor season, which we all know about this season. And the final question, Sophie, I'm going to ask you, and you may have already answered this, but if we don't win the Champions League and we miss out on top 4, have we had a bad season?
I mean, yes and no. Yes, because with Chelsea, we want to be in the top 4. We want to be keep competing in the best competitions. And no, because when you look at where we were in January, we'd sacked our manager. We were in 6th. We just brought in a new manager. He didn't get to sign his players. He hasn't had a pre-season yet. Then it's almost like this season's null and void, and we start again from the summer. So it's a tricky one. But I think with the quality of players we have and the quality of the manager, who's now looking like he's settled in London and at Chelsea, I think it will be really disappointing, and I just don't want to watch us in the Europa, if I'm honest.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I think someone said to me earlier today that the pressure will be on Tuchel, but if we're honest, the pressure's on every manager next season. Clubs will spend money, whether that's astronomical amounts or just increasing the squads. But every manager, every season is under pressure. It doesn't matter whether and no one expected us to be in the Champions League final this season, or maybe even the FA Cup. We had a really good run. I think Leicester's was a lot harder than ours, and I think we touched on that last episode as well. But I don't think we can judge Tuchel this season, and he didn't want to take the job anyway. Halfway through the season, that was documented before he took the job, that ideally he wanted to start in the summer, fresh, clean slate, and not be picking up the failings of others. But I think we judge him after next season and go from there. And I think he's only on a 18-month contract anyway, I think, with the view to extend after that. And there's been talks that they want to do that, but I'm pretty sure they'll do that after the Champions League final as well. So, it's going to be interesting run up to the end of the season, obviously for Chelsea, for Leicester. Once again, obviously, Jack, congratulations on Saturday. Big achievement for Leicester, and like I said, you could see what it meant to the club, to the owners, to the fans. So congratulations on that. But just tell everyone where they can find you and what you do as well.
So I do Leicester Fan TV. You can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, Facebook. Go and find us at Leicester Fan TV. We're a great bunch of lads who just love our football club, and we enjoy what we do. We don't do it for money or anything like that. We just do it just because we love Leicester City. We do watch-alongs, content. So if you're a neutral fan, pop over. Go and see what we do. Subscribe to Leicester Fan TV and you won't be disappointed. Yeah, no.
And I'm sure we'll get you back on at some point. Might be sooner than you think, but it might be Wednesday. You never know.
I'll go hiding on Wednesday.
So keep your diary free, Jack. On Wednesday we might be in touch. But Theo, just tell the listeners as well where they can find you as well.
Yep. So my name's Theo. You can find me on Twitter at Sesky Time. Fabregas picture. Huge fan of Fabregas, the kit in the back, as you can tell. Drop me a follow, and also make sure to follow us on Instagram, from the shed end, underscore between all the words of from the shed end. Posting a lot of content, from the past of Chelsea, polls, a lot of, I was posted some pictures and stories when we were at Wembley on Saturday. So make sure to follow us there and interact with us a lot. We love the engagement. So keep doing that.
Yeah, and obviously myself, T-Dot underscore producer, so I do music as well. That's why I got the producer in there. But also, like Theo said, you can follow us at From the Shed End on Twitter as well, which you can see at the bottom as well. And obviously, if you're not watching, it's at From the Shed End on Twitter. So engage with us, all of that stuff. Let us know your thoughts on the games. But this has been From the Shed End, episode 10. Thank you to Jack, Theo. Thank you very much, everyone.